Hey folks, Vic here for thepracticalprepper.com. I wanted to go over with you our planting plan, or the entire plan for the swale system that we put in. This includes a rock mulch rundown in an area where we've had some erosion. It also includes a rolling dip on a section of road on the south end of the property so that we can continue to use that, but we can capture water and slow down a little bit of erosion that was happening out there. Most of this was put together by Neil Bertrando here in Reno, and it's been an interesting thing to go through, interesting technique to learn. We moved here from California last August, so it's been less than a year now. My intention was, of course, to get out of California, albeit the refreshment of liberty when you cross the border was huge, pronounced, and very well received on my end. In getting out, we had several goals. One of them was that we want to start a homestead. We want to be as self-sufficient as we can. My plan was always to have an orchard. As a kid, my father and I had an orchard in San Diego where I grew up. And it was down the side of a hill, and we just terraced it off as you did in those days. We built stairs, and we had all kinds of fruit trees and such. And of course, in that climate, we could have lemons and limes, which won't work here. But it was such an experience, and growing your own food, I mean, there's just nothing like it. So the plan was always to have an orchard here. Besides that, we were going to have raised beds. Now, we built our first raised bed using hay bales, straw bales, and that's actually worked out pretty good. We've got, the only thing we could get at the time to throw in there for a winter crop was garlic. And we have two different varieties of garlic, which is just going to town. We threw a cover crop in, and then we've also put some snap peas in, some sugar peas in. So those are coming up. We'll get those trellised here pretty quick. But we're going to have more raised bed area. Some of the challenges, of course, it's Reno, it's high desert. Our house sits at 6,000 feet. So it's actually the same elevation as Truckee, California. We get snow. We had 4 inches of snow 10 days ago. The swales were completely buried in snow. I mean, the cuts were full. And consequently, we have a lot of water in. We were able to plant all of the toe swale. We're able to get the seed in, get the straw on top of that, and then get the wood chips that we're having an arborist bring in. We were able to get that done before the storm, and it's benefited. The cover crop along the top of this toe swale is coming in, and it's looking really nice. So we have a lot of planning coming up to do. In putting it together, I had the option of going back to what I knew as a kid with my father and just cutting some terraces, or what I had seen around the valley. And of course, I looked at what different people were doing, and a lot of people were just digging a hole, sticking a tree in, spacing it out, putting another tree in, and that was it. I could do that, and actually that would have been less expensive than what I did. But I also felt like, being in a dry climate, we have to do everything we can for one commodity, that's water. We had to capture, hold, and move as much water as we could for what we want to do. And it seemed like permaculture and the swales were just a perfect fit for here. Luckily, Neil Bertrando is close, and Paul Wheaton calls him the desert rat, and he's worked with us, helped do a lot of the planning. We worked together to work out what trees, where the swales were going to go. We did all of the site surveying with my laser level, and so we did everything. You've probably seen the video. We came in and we dug everything with one machine. And the amazing thing about this bottom 3 acres below the house is that we didn't hit one rock, not one. That's almost unheard of. That soil is all alluvial, and it tested really well when we tested it originally almost a year ago. I sent off a soil sample, and the test looked really, really, really good. but we didn't think we were going to do it. We dug all of this swale, this crossing, and dug in 3 different spillways in probably 8.5 hours, 7.5 hours actually. He did a little bit of clearing for the roadway to come in below the night before, finished just a little bit in the morning, and then was on this. So we did all this in about 7 hours. And the machine is not cheap. We kind of bartered a little bit for the machine. That worked. But it came real well. I'm real happy with incorporating permaculture into this homestead. I'm just ecstatic with it. I've got irrigation ordered, so we'll be starting to do the irrigation here in next week. Right now I'm kind of hand watering, but I've only got 10 trees in. I'm going to have a lot more to plant in a week, so that's going to get a little crazy. Let me pull back. I'm going to get in as tight as I can on the board here, and this is the only pointer I have handy from my bow on the rack. I'll use this as a pointer. What I'll do is I'll kind of walk you through what we did, give you an idea of what we used and what we're planning to put in. Now all this is relative depending upon what the Nevada State Nursery has available or in decent shape, what their stock looks like the first weekend or first full week of May. That's when they open. Lope and Coyote Farms is going to have their sale the 27th of April. And so we've already got a plan to get a whole bunch of stuff. I think we've got at least a dozen berry plants coming, raspberry and blackberries, which will go on the swale. I'll show you that. One of my bigger things to do with this is going to be to somehow get some fencing and protect crops. We have rabbits, ground squirrels, and deer. So we have those 3 things that we have to deal with here. So let me pull back and we'll walk through this. Okay, back with you. We're pulled back far enough to where I think you can pretty much see everything on here. And I'll start by kind of pointing out a couple things. So this is the toe swale right here, and it stops right about here. These 2 trees are ending up being off swale, and we didn't go as far over, partly because I have the well here, and I don't want to have any issue with the well line going through here. So we stopped the swale short just to make sure there was no issues. So this is the toe swale. It stops here, comes across. It's continuous to this okay, so here's the end of our toe swale, and it's continuous across until it gets to this spillway. And the rocks, I'll show you a little bit of the rocks as we build this, but I've got some native 6 and 12 inch stone I'm going to use here. I'm going to seed this with some native grasses, a mix we got down in Carson City, and then I'll rock over the top. So this is a spillway, and then this is the rest of the toe swale as it goes out to the end. This is the roadway that I was talking about, and this is property line right here. So we made a road, and this area right in here, this is the rolling dip. We were having some erosion problems down this roadway. So with the rolling dip, we'll have the water come in. It will literally turn and go right down into here. I'll rock this end out, just like I'm doing up here on the spillway, and I'll grass this out. And then I'm going to put some other rock in here. So what we'll do is we'll slow the flow down. We'll get it to where it's just rolling water instead of running water, and we'll let it just kind of slow down and work its way down into the swale where we'll be able to reuse it. So that's this. So this section goes all the way over to this spillway, and then we have a short section until we get to the road crossing with the culverts, and then another short section of swale with the last spillway. Now, the reason that we put this spillway in is pretty much because this is going to be a rock mulch rundown with 6 to 12 inch stone and native grass underneath. And it comes off the road that goes to the house. The road actually goes like this. We had a bunch of erosion on the road, so what we're going to do is we're going to take this and we're going to turn the water and we're going to run it down this and back into the swale. And if this gets too heavy and this fills, we got a spillway to take it out. So should work out really well. So another thing we did was across here, we come down a little bit, and down here there's actually a road that goes back and ties in with our main driveway from the highway. So this will end up continuing. We've got some area that we put in here and right here, which is going to be for hugel beds. And basically we've taken a lot of brush and piled it up, and we have a lot more material we can add to that. And then by importing some dirt and making the hugel beds, we can make something here that also uses some of this swale, this moisture as it moves downhill. We could use it here on the hugel beds in the future. And then below that, below the road, there are 2 more complete main swales like this that are probably around 200, 250 feet long. There's 2 more laid out below that for future, including some paddock area. So this is the plan now. We're going to worry about the other ones later. This is enough for us to do. There's also plenty of room in here should we decide to hugel, or should we decide to add more hoop houses for food production. Right now what we've got is, I've got all these that are highlighted in yellow are the fruit trees that we have coming. We have overstory trees, which are basically on the main swale. There's 3, 4, 5, 6 of them. And we have the option to add them up here should we want to, but we don't really want this to get in the way of the view from the house, because we will be able to see out. So we've got some main overstories here. In between this, we've got a lot of supplementals. So Swale 1 is planned to have 6 overstory with probably 3 black locust and 3 honey locust, although that's up for grabs at the moment. It's going to have 36 other support plants and 14 fruit trees, along with 14 berries. And we're looking at throwing in a Lombardy poplar in one particular spot. So we're going to use 8 blackberry and 6 raspberry in the main swale. The fruit trees are going to be 4 apple, 2 apricot, 2 peach, 2 pear, and 2 plum. We're going to have 36 support. We're going to have 11 list 1 nitrogen fixer, which will be small trees. List 2 are going to be, we'll have 14 of those. Those are nitrogen fixing shrubs. And list 3 are going to be 11 of those, and those are nitrogen fix pollard and coppice plants. So out of the nitrogen fixer species that we picked for the area, we picked autumn olive, buffalo berry, indigo bush, Mount mahogany birch leaf, Mount mahogany curleaf, sea berry, Siberian pea shrub. That's list 1. That would be our nitrogen fixed small trees. Our list 2, which are our shrubs, we picked bush clover, gumi, lead plant, pygmy pea shrub, Scotch broom, and Carfalse indigo. I'm not real sure on that one. And then list 3, which are pollard and compas plants, autumn olive, bush clover, indigo bush, Mount mahogany, Scotch broom, and Siberian pea shrub. So some of the same. And then there's some other non-nitrogen fixers which we might use. Aronia, golden currant, oregano grape, and mungo pine. Those are some other varieties that we also might use. And again, all of these are kind of going to be based on availability, what the Nevada nursery has, what Lope and Coyote has available. So all that should work. We just have to kind of throw the list together based on what we find that's in good condition or in quantities. Just to kind of go over irrigation real quick, our well sits right about, well, it's actually there, well and spigot. We've got a dry riser here and a wellhead here. So my plan is, right next to this is where I'm going to put my irrigation manifold. We have several zones. We have zone 1, which is the largest part of the main swale. Zone 2 is going to pick up this section right here all the way over to the small swale. Zone 3 is going to pick up the toe swale, southern end, and Zone 4 is going to be the northern. So they're all going to come back to this particular point. It's going to be automated, so I'll have them on timers, a 4-zone timer, and we'll be able to do kind of whatever we need to do. At the same time that I put the line underground, then I trench across into here, I'm going to put a spare line down and probably stub it out down in here for future use, and I'll be able to pick that up and continue that hill. So that's something I'll probably get it swale. I don't have to do this again. When we want to build some more area down below, I can extend that line down, and then I can set up these timers on a rotation so that, for example, this 4-zone timer is running on one period, and then after this one's completed, the next one will run. That way I can keep the flow of water, the production of water that this spigot is able to give us, to be able to deliver the exact amount of water in the time we want it. So this is the section I think I'm talking about. This is the kind of the past stairs. So this is the upper level where the house is, and the gradanimal area is right over here. I'm going to build stairs down so that it kind of comes down the slope, and then I'm going to build kind of an 8-foot wide bridge across the swale in this one spot, about 8 feet wide, and then with some stairs so that you can actually walk down and cross this without having to try to come all the way over and walk all the way around, because you will never cross this, or this. I also may do something in here to put some kind of little protective fence just to remind people don't walk in that area. This is all cut to grade. This is 3-inch on a back slope, and this level sill is critical. Once I have the rock, and the sill will kind of be established and less apt to have any damage done to it. But it's pretty interesting. All the irrigation will be 3/4 main line with half-inch lateral lines on, I believe we're using 12-inch center emitters. So I'll kind of show you as we're putting more of that together down the trail. But this is kind of what we have planned. So this is, I don't know if I showed you, this is kind of the upper road plan, the access road. So this actually comes in, I access this with a tractor, and I can come down this way. If you see some of the video, you'll see me kind of moving. Right now all of our wood chips are kind of stacked out here, but I think we've used all but about 3 buckets of that pile up, finishing this swale off. So this is a work in progress, and we'll definitely want to show you more as we kind of get along, and so that you can see the progress. And I think it's going to be interesting to see how this little piece of land excuse me, changes as we move forward. You know, Jeff Lawton talks about creating a food forest, and how the land over the years will start to reclaim itself and really start looking like a forest. And I'm just interested to see how this little piece of several acres here in northern Nevada will look with a few years of, you know, TLC and planting and good plants. So anyway, I hope you kind of stick with us and kind of see how we do as we go along. If you have any questions, you know, feel free to put them in the notes, or contacts by email at vic at thepracticalprepper.com. Okay, thanks and take care.